Astro. Alright. This is called The Weekend Kept Getting Longer. As it always does. Singing Queen all the way home from the Casey's General Store, down Bland Avenue to the Art House. Maybe we're not the champions, but we are the night. We are alive, drunk on Beast Ice and Missouri Twilight Dew. We are vagabonds who have run out of gas money. We are scab-knee philosophers. We are fools who refuse to show up to the cubicle. But we're in God's country, and the trumpets of his angels are the blaring horns. Alright, I'm choking. I ain't gonna do it. My bad. I'm tripping acid. Oh my God. You guys thought I was choking up. Like, I'm peaking right now. Very sorry. So we're gonna get right into our features tonight. Everybody please make some noise for my man, J.I.B.
This first poem is from my first chapbook called Route 23 to Golgotha, and I won't go into a big diatribe but explain the book to you. But this poem's called Hunger. I know the concrete gray and the curbs and the cracks and the scent of gasoline. I see the fucking bum, I smell the fucking bum, I am the fucking bum, I hold the fucking sign that reads fucking starving. Lord, the flesh is weak and the spirit is tired. I know the scent of rain and the taste of thirst, and I know hunger like God, and I know God like I know hunger.
Yeah.
I wrote this next poem after they started finding all the Native American kids in the basements of churches and shit. This is called Use Dynamite as Required. George Washington paid slaves for their teeth. Alexander the Great wept. The Catholic Church re-educated native children. They even cut their hair. George Washington had no problem chewing steak. We carved our faces into a mountain front. Used dynamite as required. The Catholic Church cut native children's hair and buried their bodies as Christians. There's no more worlds left to conquer. The churches are burning and I don't care. Slaves were paid by George Washington for their teeth as if they could have said no. Native children were buried as Christians in God's basement. Alexander the Great wept, and I don't care that the churches are burning. I don't care that the churches are burning. The churches are burning and I don't care. George Washington ate steak and there's no more world left. The churches are burning. The churches are all going to burn and I don't care.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is called Sinkholes in America. November 1957, Russia launches a dog into space. Our infrastructure is crumbling. Moths don't batter their bodies against light bulbs because they like the sting. Roughly 3 billion years ago, the first single-celled organisms formed against all odds at the bottom of the ocean. Humans will attempt to colonize Mars in my lifetime. The dog was never going to land. December 2021, bridges are collapsing. Moths batter their bodies against light bulbs because their little insect brains beg them to find the moon to stay out of the rain. December 1972, a sinkhole cracks open in the United States that's so big they gave it a name. Roughly 3 billion years ago, the first single-celled organisms formed despite all reason not to. At the bottom of the ocean, they had one purpose, survival. December 1967, a bridge collapses in Point Pleasant, West Virginia. They keep collapsing. The dog was never going to land. Roughly 3 billion years ago, I think, yeah, I'm going to skip this poem actually. I fucked that one up.
Finish the poem.
Alright, Alright. Humans will attempt to colonize Mars in my lifetime. In all likelihood, many of the participants will die before landing. Moths batter their bodies against light bulbs, hoping to stay out of the rain. November 1957, the dog is going to die soon and starts to panic the moment the rocket's doors shut. November 1957, the rocket's doors are shut and they're never going to open again. A bridge collapses in Point Pleasant, West Virginia. No survivors. December 1972, a sinkhole cracks open. They give it a name. Roughly 3 billion years of infrastructure crumbling. Humans will attempt to colonize Mars in my lifetime. The survival depends on it. December 2021, it's raining and bridges are collapsing. A moth's little insect brain begs it to survive. November 1957, the dog is going to die soon.
Yeah!
This poem here, I got the title of it tattooed on my fucking ankle during a reading. I've done that a couple times, had lines and shit tattooed on me during readings. But this is a poem about how I almost died from drinking alcohol and taking muscle relaxers when I was like 17. It's called 2011. The year was 2011 and everything felt upside down. I was drinking, we were all drinking, we were drunk and we were young and our insides were so bad. We were drinking, we were too young for our insides to be so dirty. I was drinking and drunk and young and I hated myself and I took too many muscle relaxers and my insides were dirty, almost dirt. I couldn't feel my arms and legs. I was getting my dick sucked and didn't want my dick sucked and the girl who was sucking my dick was young and drinking and drunk and hated herself. Our insides were dirty, our insides were almost dirt, but we didn't want to be dirt, but we didn't know how to be anything else. We were too young to hate ourselves like we did. I was young, I was drinking, I had taken too many muscle relaxers. I was drinking and I hated myself. I was sinking the floorboards, the foundation of the house, the topsoil. I was drunk and I took too many muscle relaxers. I was drunk and I couldn't feel my arms and legs and I was sinking the floorboards, the foundation of the house, the topsoil, below the topsoil. I couldn't feel my arms and legs. I couldn't feel my arms and legs, and all I could feel was dirt. I was sinking, I was young and I was drinking and I was drunk and I was falling asleep. I was falling asleep and I wasn't sure I was going to wake up. Everything was upside down. The year was 2011.
Yeah.
Does anyone here have a brother who is homicidal rage toward their stepfather? Anybody? Just me? Oh, this is a poem.
You have me in the first half.
This is titled my stepfather taught my brother to aim. An artist is born, shots fired, a plate of gunpowder. My brother wants my stepfather dead. Art is supposed to mean something. An artist designed a gun. If I had a bullet, I would eat it. If I had a bullet for every time my brother wanted my stepfather dead, I would have a full stomach. Artists are people who make statements. My brother ate plates of gunpowder. My brother is an artist, and an artist designed a gun to fire and bullets to kill. And if my brother had a bullet and if my brother had a gun, he would make a statement.
Damn.
This is my last poem I'm going to read. I'm going to be a Capitol store, and like right now I have books for sale from this sucker here. It looks like this. Called Our Tiny Little Lives. It's a pretty good book, in my unbiased opinion. You know. This is titled Self-Destructive Behaviors in Human Beings and Other Animals, or Bipolar 1. Do you all know that rabbits kill themselves? Rabbits commit suicide. That's a real thing. Anyways,
Happy Easter.
In the absence of a loaded gun or a razor blade, an overdose on prescription medication, or a carefully tied noose, the rabbits make do. A rock big enough to batter their bodies against, the lack of air at the bottom of a creek, the impact that follows a leap off the edge of a cliff. It's instinct. We know the body can be transformed into a prison too small to squeeze ourselves into. There's a science to this. Rats eat themselves alive. Starving dogs stand in living traffic. Human beings trapped inside a burning building in the process of burning down jump from windows without hope of a safe landing. Today, I'm the Antichrist. Tomorrow, I hate myself and I don't want to talk. There's a science to this that no one understands.
Keep it going. All right, our next performer tonight. Everybody please make some noise for Alise Versella.
I'll just shout.
Thank you.
So the older I'm getting, the more afraid I feel. So this is a poem about that fear. It's called Breathing Exercises. I'm afraid of the weapons I hold in self-defense that could be used against me, figuratively and literally. Like how if the day ever comes, I'd have to defend my will to live even in the courtroom. I never want to put myself in this position, so there are places I will not go. I am too aware of my height, my slender build, and my skin. I'm like a vampire this way. I know where I'm not welcomed unless I've been invited in. I wish this was different. But we are both scared of what we could do to each other, so we cross over to the opposite side of the street, walk where the streetlights can illuminate us, take the long way back to the car because there are more witnesses on the main drag of bars. This is where we've left the bar. And each night on the news, we rise above it. Each time the bar gets too high, like a water line rising until we are drowning. The models being photographed underwater look so serene. But every time I look at them, I can't breathe. Sometimes I forget to hold my breath, rinsing off under the shower head. Sputter and cough. Wonder if this is what it's like to choke. I breathe so shallow sometimes. It's as if I'm hardly breathing at all.
Yeah.
And speaking about breath, this is gulp. When Moses parted the Red Sea, he said, "Don't choke on all this air you can finally breathe." Why do the people have to flee to get any sort of relief in the first place? Like air is something we never have enough of, attached to that. Like on my Tampax, pearls dripping from the clamshell of me I cut open so someone else could dine on this meat. How am I still starving, eating dinner at your tables? Like the plate is always empty, a plate of air. So much air, don't choke on it. The empty space I take up when I flee, when I run to the freedom that was meant for me. When the gray whale opens her mouth from the krill, suddenly a jaw sings, becomes dirge, a portal to a promised land where a woman could not be swallowed.
Yeah.
I wasn't going to perform this poem tonight, but I think now I'm gonna.
Hell yeah.
Let's talk about girls and the unhealthy coping mechanisms we create for ourselves. The way we swallow our tongues, spit our screams into the mattress springs, watch the cells of us divide in the petri dish. We keep a magnifying gaze on our faces, hoping like leeches we could bloodlet the defect and become something more pure. We become skilled in the mastery of liquid foundation, like Botticelli painting Venus, contour a new nose and upline a new pout, and masquerade as better versions of ourselves. Emulate the actresses like Greek goddesses until who we are is unrecognizable. Our mannerisms the mirror to adoration. How high the pedestal before we learned how to feel shame. I don't remember the day I stopped playing skip it in the street. But I remember the day on the bleachers when I first wanted to shave. Remember thinking that girl is prettier than me. Remember not having the guts to cut my flesh, so I bruised it instead. Snapped the metal of the hair tie and it kept me from crying because waterproof mascara was more expensive. I could not afford to let the world see me falter, so I became bitch. I remember the girls who had sex too young and we slut-shamed them. My God, but they only wanted love. How we all just want love, to love ourselves, and the world keeps making it so damn hard. It grinds the life out of us so early on. I remember that day childhood came to its end. Knew the fear that was my body could get me dead. And now how in revenge I refuse to shave my pubes. Stand defiant in the shower and watch them curl. Wish I could snarl at everything the world forced upon me. A cat never really cares if it hurts when it scratches. That the gnarled clump of fur it choked up glares back at you like the devil in the sun. My hair falls out in clumps. I swirl it along the shower wall and predict my future and its images. Wonder sometimes if I have it in me to scratch and claw and pull to save me, but isn't that what girls have always been doing? Creating horrible new ways to keep us safe. Speaking of clawing, this is from my full-length When Wolves Become Birds.
Yeah.
I do have copies over there if you want to support a poet this Poetry Month. This is called I Will Edit Manuscripts, but I Will Not Edit Myself. I do not wish for snapshots, I want the whole damn panorama. The extended cut, the unedited scroll you let roll forth from the typewriter like a carpet you did not have pulled out from under you. Now I want the dust you swept under that carpet, when your mother wasn't looking, when you grew tired of the nagging, after you unpacked all the boxes of your body you kept closed up, taped shut, because you've been so afraid to unpack your baggage and buy furniture with sturdy legs, legs that will dent the carpet, legs that might scratch that hardwood if you don't first lay down some velvet to buffer it. I say refuse all buffers, like bowling without bumpers. Like sometimes I don't care if my ball lies in the gutter, scream guttural. If today you cracked the mirror and did not like the imperfect reflection. Scream if it makes you feel better. Because hawks don't consider the eardrums of earthworms, they scream because they are flying high and they are hunting. They are taking all that opportunity has laid before them because God gave them claws. So do not retract yours. We have deemed declawing inhumane, so what if you scratch a little? If you sting a little? If the blood reminds the spineless, you are still here.
Yeah.
And I'll leave you all on a lighter note. This is called the distance between two selves. Consider the distance between 2 points. The first is the height, the second the fear of the climb, and the distance extends out like a telescope. The farther a star moves away, it's in this way, wings betray the blue jay. But consider the altitudes a body can reach. Like the body asleep projects the soul to an astral plane. How a dream, given branches, builds a nest, a home, and does not second-guess feathers left to compost. Heavy may be the bags of bitter salt that break open like the earth or the heart. Heavy-handed it spreads like chaos. The load trusted more than the ability to bear it. The lover, considered foolish. How she lets her body burst forth with brilliant understanding of what it means to love someone as much as she loves herself. Stop trying to calculate what can't be measured. Like ocean fathoms and familiar phantoms, their hauntings mistaken for friendship. Trust again in the night sky. Do not mourn the fading of its stars as they burn, scorching the arid dirt. You are the sapling reaching, but you are not the binding root. Your tears will not set the ground aflame. They extinguish the thirst of so many choking doves. Darling, the mountain is never the obstacle. It has always been your fear of the stumble. Do you think all fledgling birds consider distance before they learn flight? No, they simply fly.
Yeah.
Keep it going for Alise Versella. All right, our next poet's coming all the way from Ohio. He's a dear friend, a publisher, and we just dropped a new book that's here tonight called The Former Lives of Saints. Make some noise for my man, Ezhno!
All right, so to be fair, to clean up for whatever the fuck he's on, this book, with a different cover and worse poems, came out 5 years ago. And we decided to put it back out, just because of our eternal love for each other. and drugs. And yeah, I make a lot of mistakes. They say if I didn't have bad luck, I'd have no luck at all. But I'm starting to realize it's my own goddamn fault. This one's called, I guess I'll never learn. My first job taught me that pretending to be Jewish isn't such a solid long-term strategy. And then my second job, that adults will abuse children in any way they can get away with. I worked at the JCC and they wouldn't give me a senior counselor position at the Barney Goodman. True story. They're like, well, I mean, you were a really good, like, junior counselor, but we don't know. To be true, I was kind of underqualified. Anyway, my first job taught me that pretending to be Jewish isn't such a solid long-term strategy. And my second job, that adults will abuse children in any way they can get away with. My third job taught me that even if you have warrants, the police aren't always showing up to see you. I mean, sometimes people show up to Subway for a sandwich. My fourth job taught me that calling your coworkers spaghetti faggots, even if it's an inside joke and you're a cross-dresser, is rarely advisable in front of the owners, Mr. and Mr. Pellerito. My fifth job taught me not to eat acid and come to work, Damian! My sixth, to check the schedule. My seventh, that I'm a coward. My eighth, that just because I've started working does not mean that the drug screen came back clean. My ninth job taught me that when you work for the government, the less work you do, the better they like you for it. I pretended to be looking for someone very important all day. And they loved it. And after 8 months of that shit, I learned how to rob the register blind and cover my tracks. Job 11 told me that masturbating in the supply closet is not all it's cracked up to be. Job 12 and 13, were actually pleasant, so I don't really have a line about those. Job 14 taught me that when you have dreadlocks, you will be the fall guy anytime anybody gets high in a 2-block radius. And job 15 taught me that you don't puedo hablar español. Es verdad. Job 16 taught me that if you drink a fifth of gin, you will sweat juniper poison for days. Job 17, that smoking meth makes you a better employee. Because floors and walls and mop sinks or trash cans are more important than profits. Or if you've just got the assistant manager pregnant. Job 18 taught me that... kind of keys in. Job 18 taught me that when your boss is fucking half the staff, you better be nice to everybody, just in case your arch nemesis is your new assistant manager. Job 19 taught me how to spot a pyramid scheme. Job 20, that I sell cars like old people fuck. And that used car salesmen really are the lowest form of life on earth. Job 21 through 24 taught me that nobody who ran through a jungle to escape certain death has any sympathy for your white boy problems. Job 25 taught me that no one cares about my white boy problems. Job 26 taught me that it is possible to get a job at McDonald's when you're blackout drunk. I don't remember filling out the application. I certainly don't remember an interview. What I do remember, however, is getting a phone call about why I was 2 hours late to my first shift. I remember telling them, because suck a dick in a truck stop seemed like a more dignified way to make a living. Yeah. Job 27 taught me that dreams do come true, but they don't last when my fucking mouth opens. And all I've really learned is that I'll never learn. And let me tell you all, if you're going to be dumb, you're going to have to be tough. Yeah. Yeah. So, mistakes. Now, this isn't a mistake. It's a mistake to read. Now, it's called Join the Shit Show. The gross bathroom wall haiku is a poet's best chance of ever being read. So always carry 6 Sharpie markers just in case your next crap is one the muse wants to play. It might not be the most dignified publication. Compensation is kind of limited. And scorn inevitable. But who are you to judge? You're so desperate for attention, you force your scribblings on unsuspecting passers-by in bars and coffee houses, art shows, various stages, in the living room of friends you're only making. And you make friends with people you wouldn't mind pushing to a wood chipper for purely strategic reasons. You want to be read, and it's hardly shameful. Not only because it's less cold and lonely in the spotlight, but because you want better for your friends and family than the succubus of stimulus response sedation for the stupid, by the stupid, so we all can get a little stupid and buy more useless shit and ask fewer questions. You want to be read because you write to make this life more bearable. I don't know only for you. It's better to be drinking and... I stapled this book wrong. All right, here's a different half of a different poem. Be drinking and kicking around, watching television, shoving your face full of cheeseburgers, instead of agonizing over syntax, allusions, alliterations, scribbling and typing, crossing out and deleting and consulting with books and web pages because you want to make better perfect poems for a more perfect world. You write because you can't help yourself and you can't help but want to be read, so give yourself your best chance and write where it can be seen. You don't seem to have a problem with making a production of writing on your laptop at the local coffee shop when no one can see what you're writing, despite your efforts to make it perfectly clear that you are a writer and that you are writing. So write where it can be seen. Start with your bedroom wall. In pencil write. I'm sick of just liking people. I wish to God I could meet someone I could respect, like Seymour did. Write poems on the back of your credit card receipts. Give your waitress more than 11% could ever imagine. Write poems on your lover's fingers so when they fuck themselves, you'll be right there with something beautiful to say. Remember, the gross bathroom wall haiku is a poet's best chance of ever being read. The last line in the book I have says, she'd just say you're gunning for her cut. Kind of poems got mixed together. All right. Anyway, we're going to get away from that book. It's cursed.
That's what you get for talking shit to J.I.B. all weekend.
What are you talking about?
That's what you get for talking shit to J.I.B. all weekend.
That's not talking shit. That's just how this motherfucker is.
Did I have a water? Yeah, that'd be a great time for that. I didn't take acid. I don't know the fuck.
What?
That's a mistake.
As I said, if I didn't have bad luck. Alright. Poem. It's not necessarily about Jason Reberg. I wear you like a freshly healed tattoo. I wear you like a freshly healed tattoo, a piece of infinity on mortal canvas. When they bury me, the mortician will see your colors, and even if he tries to conceal you like a blemish, beneath every facade, there you'll be. I wear you like a freshly healed tattoo. I strip down, barren baby, in wonder of your luster, obnoxiously and perpetually. In pondering your permanence and my first ecstatic affection for your intricate details, this overwhelms every other tract of cowboy skin in existence. I forget we began, and it can only end in tears. This is only funny to me, fuck off. I wear you like a freshly healed tattoo. Now that I'm allowed to get you wet, we'll stay in the shower for hours, telling the stories of how we got here. With you on me, we're stronger than lions, waiting to devour our corpses. We promise to make them starve, liver spots, or cower in fear. I wear you like a freshly healed tattoo. My friends will soon grow tired of the opportunities I find to tie you into explanations. I'm sorry, I'm imagining Jason Reberg and me making out. This is really hard to get through. You are the deepest beauty these last several years of searching can express. Standing in front of bookshelves, I concede to making you mine, so how could I possibly control my babbling pride? I wear you like a freshly healed tattoo. I can no longer scrub you away. You've settled into the pantheon of my skin. I might regret you someday. I might not adore you upon death, but your mark is made and I'll love you, regardless of resent, relentlessly. I wear you like a freshly healed tattoo, a relic at least worthy of rivaling the rest of my holy things. I wear you like a freshly healed tattoo. My mother won't like you. I wear you like a freshly healed tattoo, and I will never see myself or Paul Jason Brandy ever the same. Don't clap for that. Don't clap for that. I just ruined a beautiful long poem to my ex-wife so I could giggle about Jason Reber.
Has he heard that?
What?
Has he heard that?
Oh, yeah. Okay, that's a good segue. Thank you. So what this was me and Jeanette put together both of our first books on Spartan Press's pop poetry. They put out 12 books in 12 months. We were in the same year. And Jason Reber, for some fucking reason, couldn't figure out how to reprint the things. So we decided that we were going to take both books and put them in here. And then we included a bunch of inside jokes to Jason Reber in the book. So that's what happened, man. Thank you very much. I think if I could just struggle through one more poem, that'd probably be best. So, this is a coffee shop. And I've never read this poem in a coffee shop without me getting kicked out of it.
You're in the right place.
Like any good Democrat, I believe in conspiracy theories. I believe Jesus was tricked. This is called Scapegoat, Silencing the Lamb. Now, imagine if I was sober and I had this poem memorized. I'd have my arms out the entire time screaming at the sky. Think about that. Hey, Dad, so I'm hanging here, skewered through my arms and feet, 8 feet up in the air, and every breath hurts more than the last. Mostly because it's occurred to me that I've been lied to and left to die. You don't have a concept of time, so it's not like you're running late. You never meant to save me in the first place, and you only promised angels because you know all along I'd never go along with it otherwise. It is staggering and sickening to make me an unwitting sacrifice. I mean, what did you expect? You abandoned them! And now you've abandoned me because you're so dead set on how shitty everyone is that I'm in agony over sins that haven't even been committed yet. I mean, like there was some possible way to please you. You, God, who defines perfection on the fly. And don't even get me started about perfect. Your idea of salvation is evidently suicide. And don't think I've forgotten about Isaac and Job. I mean Job! You cast lots on our lives. I mean, how many people need to die before you're satisfied? And Father, I was doing just fine. I mean, literally millions of miracles to make your creation a better place, but I mean, that wasn't making it happen for you now, was it? No. My mission was never to save anyone, but to save face for you. So you could say, like some kind of fucking moody teenager, I tried the best I could to show the world I love them, so now I'm killing myself to prove how much I care. Except even moody teenagers don't think their way is the only way. They know empathy is more than empty gestures, and forgiveness isn't just a warm feeling of hearing someone admit that they were wrong. Even teenagers aren't so vain as to insist on believing that they have nothing to be forgiven for. So, I'd appreciate an apology. It's too late to get me off this thing, and they're about to lance me in the side because they can't stand to see me suffer anymore, but it would be nice for you to admit, before I suffocate, that you're mad at me. And you're mad at the whole world for loving each other more than they will ever love you. And it's not their fault they've learned to suffer each other with grace and not vengeance. I'd like to apologize, with my last breath, for being belligerent. But I mean, after all, I am fucking dying here. The Roman soldiers got me drunk on cheap wine, so I won't have to endure the agony of being forsaken without any solace. And man, there is no solace in being your lamb, just tricked into the slaughter. I thought I was your bulldog. I see now. Like everyone who was ever born, and everyone who ever will be born. I'm just a scapegoat. Yeah! I need money to get to rehab. Keep it going for Ezhno!
We got one last featured poet for tonight. He's the author of $100 a Week Motel. Make some noise for my man, Dan Denton!
Hey everybody, my name's Dan Denton. I'm a poet from Toledo.
You!
By day I work as a chief union steward at a Jeep plant. And I stay up too late trying to write poetry. This poem was turned into my first ever broadside this year. And if you buy anything or if you're interested in having a copy of this poem, it's turned into a poster, I'll give you a copy. It's called I Want to Breathe Free. It was published by Rose of Sharon Press from Los Angeles. I want to climb on top of cash register conveyor belts and give sermons about feeding the poor. I want to pass out leaflets by the gas pumps at the local gas station to educate Americans about oligarchies. I want to start a fire across the street from the White House and sing Woody Guthrie songs at the top of my lungs until my throat bleeds. I want to pick fist fights with big pharma executives and make them pay for their own stitches. I want to rob banks and use their money to return foreclosed homes to those with hard luck. I want to hack credit card companies and steal back all the interest they've raided from the bank accounts of working people and use that money to build libraries. I want to crack open Wall Street's vaults and use their fool's gold to fund drum circles and schools that teach empathy. I want to steal the Pope's big-ass fancy hat and pass communion wine down skid rows, giving out blessings like party favors. I want to blow up heaven and kidnap God and take him down to the local mission and show him his own best work. I want to look my children in the eyes and tell them I did all that I could to change the selfishness of this world. And I don't want to cry when I say it. I want to burn it all down and start over in a new world where pain and struggle aren't badges of honor. I want to throw Molotov cocktails at the patriarchy and plant hand grenades in the nest of systemic racism. I want to march and shout all night long, screaming against for-profit prisons and corporate greed. I want to rage until I am nothing. I want to wake up tomorrow and not feel tired and worn down like a rusting robot that's had to work through his last 4 maintenance checkups. I want to smile. I want to laugh until my stomach hurts. I want to breathe freely as if the world wasn't crumbling around me. Yeah! All right. Man, what a hell of a reading tonight, guys. Thanks, Damian, for hosting, and Brandon for hosting. Make sure you tip your coffee tender. There's a name for that, barista. I did not take acid, but I am a little stoned. So I've had a pretty wild life, man. And I grew up in the projects in Illinois, and I always joke about I struggled for about a decade with some great cocaine wars. And I lost every one of them motherfuckers. Yeah. But as luck would have it, if you quit doing cocaine long enough, things can change. So anyway, this poem is a little bit about that. It's called Wondering About the Fate of Stolen Library Books and Unopened Mail. I drove old cars on multi-state road trips, and once, twice, 3 times. I had to rely on the generosity of local nonprofits to put gas in my car so I could get back home. Once I bought a video game system and sold it a week later so I could pay my weekly rent at a boarding house. There was just enough left over for a pack of smokes and a half gallon of Jim Beam. I stole some library books when I was 19 because I owed $5 in fines and I didn't have $5. But there were books that I needed to read. I took this test in high school, one of those ones where you fill in the little bubbles, and lots of colleges sent me brochures. I thought about that sometimes while I was warming up a can of beans on a rusty hot plate and gulping down cold 12-packs of Old Milwaukee. For half of my adult life, I could fit everything I owned in the back seat of a mid-sized sedan. Because sometimes you have to move from a boarding house to a cheap motel at 3 a.m. The stolen library books sat in a stolen milk crate and survived a half dozen hotel rooms before I had to let them go. I once went 3 years without collecting any mail, which makes me wonder, who sits around and worries about all those unopened bills? I knew people that started retirement savings plans when they were in their 20s, and I have never envied them. I keep hearing that you can be whatever you want to, and maybe that is true, but maybe it's not. Maybe you'll build Jeeps when you turn 40 and look back wondering what happened to that milk crate that held all those books. And maybe your greatest achievement will be never becoming the things that you hate the most. Thank you. So Damian mentioned I'm the author of a book called The $100 a Week Motel. It was published as my first novel last year by Punk Hostage Press in California. Yeah. A badass small press, and I was lucky that they found me on a Zoom meeting because of COVID. True story. And they're like, hey, do you have anything published? And all I had was like 2 chapbooks, man. One of them I put out myself, right? So I sent them 60 poems in an envelope, like just poems I printed off my computer, right? And I didn't hear nothing for like 2 months. And then Iris called me, like, or she sent me an email. She's like, hey, this is great. You got anything else? And I was halfway through this, and I sent it to her. And she called me a week later and said, hey, I don't do book deals on by email. So anyway, I hope you get a copy of that sometime. I'm going to read you just a brief excerpt of that. $100 a Week Motel. Tone and Sheila's old room was empty for about 3 weeks after the orphan junkies were adopted by a cruel cosmic father everyone calls God. Then Jesus moved in one day. Jesus was 6'2" or some shit, skinny, had long frizzy hair down to his ass. There were rabbit's feet tied on the ends of his hair. He had a mountain man beard and hairy legs. Jesus wore dresses, a blue and plaid one or rainbow striped one that always came down to just above his potato lump knees. I'd seen Jesus walking around before. He walked everywhere. Always wore headphones, but no one ever saw them connected to anything. Everyone knew who he was because they see him walking, tall and skinny, long hair and wild dress, both waving in the wind. Everyone called him Jesus because that's what you call middle-aged crazy men with long hair and a beard. I've known 3 men that society called Jesus. None of them turned tap water into wine. Turns out this Jesus' real name was Randy, but Randy died in Vietnam. Jesus wouldn't tell me how. It took me a few times trying to talk to him to figure any of it out. $100 a Week Motel. Yeah! So I'm going to read this poem. This is the poem I was going to end with, all right? But I cut another poem out, and somebody had asked me to read a poem. So I decided I'm just going to read this poem, and if you want me to read one more, you guys will let me know, all right? All right. So this poem is called One for Those with No Faith. Because every once in a while you got to write one to remind yourself who you are, right? This one is for the 2nd grade teacher that read my short story for a contest and laughed about it. It's for the 4th grade teacher that said he's from East Rudy when asked why I couldn't go to an advanced class for gifted kids. It's for the elementary school principal that said he's from East Rudy. You know how those kids are. This one is for the junior high librarian that said I'd never read as many books as some other kid teacher's pet. This one is for the freshman honors English teacher that said I didn't belong and gave me a C, the lowest grade in her class. It's for the high school literature teacher that said my poetry wasn't anything special. It's for the high school guidance counselor who tried not to look shocked when I said I was applying to Northwestern University. It's for the high school guidance counselor whose face said I told you so when I told her I'd bombed out of community college. This one is for the girl that chose to date the community college president of the Young Republicans Club because he had a brighter future. This one is for the girl that told me if I lost weight and got my teeth fixed, she would marry me. This one is for the girl that said if I gave her a baby, that she would marry me. This one is for the girls that married and divorced me, the ones that left me for better prospects, the ones that told me that I was a piece of shit and flushed me away forever. This one is for the lovers that took and took and took and were left empty-handed with bitter tears when I took off. This one is for the ex-girlfriend that said that she could write better posts on social media than I could write poems. This one is for all the factory workers that have ever laughed when they heard that I was a poet. This one is for everyone that ever looked past me or looked at me with eyes full of dancing mockery when I was panhandling for cheeseburgers and wine. This one is for the publishers and contest judges that send my work back with cookie-cutter rejections. This one is for the government housing projects and addictions. It's for the alcoholism and child abusers. It's for the bipolar 2, the ADHD, the ODD, and the OCD. This one is for the motherfucking anxiety. This one is for the ones that never thought I'd live till 30. This one is for the ones that tried to dismiss me or unkiss me or wished they'd never met me. This one is for Jesus, who never wanted me as a sunbeam.
Yeah.
This one is to let them all know their mothers are still whores. Yeah. And I'm still here writing another poem. First time I ever read that, I cried. I don't like crying, you know, I'm a big tough guy, you know. But sometimes there's a lot of hurt in a lot of poems. This one, there's a lot of hurt in, but I've read it 38 times in my life, because it might be the best poem I ever wrote. It was, it's a true story. I read this poem one time, and a guy named Ezhno came up and said, hey, I want to put out a chapbook of your work. Send me that poem and 9 other ones. And that was my first ever chapbook. Yeah. Yeah.
With your heart, Dan.
So this poem, read it with my heart also. It's been read at slam contests by a couple, like 2 different artists, and it was the title of my first chapbook. It's called Bury My Heart in the Gutter. How much longer will I have to endure cable television and paid infomercials? How much longer will I have to endure 24-hour news channels? How much longer will I have to drive through small towns with clean streets and rows of American flags? Or drive through suburbia with its shiny cop cars and shiny cops carrying shiny guns? How much longer will I have to live counting down the days until they put planet Earth on the endangered species list? How much longer, I do not know. But when the end comes, bury my heart in the gutter. Bury it where the pimps and the street preachers work. Near the corners where junkies and hustlers share space. Bury it in an alley behind a dumpster or under a bridge where the stray dogs live. Take me back home where $3.75 will buy a bottle of strong, cheap wine. The gutter where I found the people that God never loved. The gutter where I learned that crack cocaine is both the devil and the angel of life. Where I learned that fucking and fighting are the coping mechanisms of damaged people. And that there's nothing softer than the maternal instincts of a kind-hearted whore. Where I learned that when you have nothing, there is freedom. Where I learned that hell is a real place and you don't have to die to go there. Where I learned that I am more than my addictions. And where I learned the most valuable lesson of all, that the same motherfucking moon that shines on Wall Street is visible from the gutter if you're just wise enough to look up once in a while. My friend, you may not understand, but when my nightmare ends, bury my heart where it first came alive, right smack dab in the middle of the motherfucking gutter. Yeah.
Keep it going for a second, swinging. All right, guys, we're going to do a 10-minute break. There's coffee back there. There's no mic list here. And as always, somebody buy me a fucking cigarette. Thank you. All right, guys, welcome back to Poetry in the Board. Let's make some noise. All right, we're going to try to gravitate more upwards. He doesn't want people by the ordering thing, so just, that's good. That's good.
Stand right in front of the camera.
I'm not going to correct you. Should I try to read?
No, I fucking ate dick before. No, I'm not doing it.
All right. Our first open micer tonight is her first time reading here. Make some noise for Alexandra Newman.
I'm going to read 2 pieces tonight. The first one is called Mealtime Prose. Sunday suppers. Quinceanera ambiance drones through panes of open window. A porcelain-faced planter clasps a rod of cinnamon incense. Clove wisps of warmth and wood spiral before a sheet of glass. The scent and subtlety of raw tomato paste travels. A tangerine tabby splays his body upon his father's bare feet. Flip-flops, blue jean, back pocket deposited with a worn tawny bandana. He meanders along the path that is preparatory for pasta and painting. The poetess ponders, perched in between Cabernet Sauvignon and feline feet, immersed in the tranquility that is companionship and classical focus. A calendar day gently comes to a close, hinged together by modern-day beatniks in mealtime prose. And this one is called The Same. The Seventh-Day Sacrament. A congregation of 2, the christening of Pinot Noir performances. He kneels in performative prayer, toed and heeled in ashen rouge. The cowboy chastity belt will be displaced later, after the eggs are prematurely dyed in remembrance of Christ. High marks were earned in the study of sex. The 1940s and the dangers of hard petting sounds like a nearing NyQuil nightmare. The Persian lined flooring earns a heavy-handed pour. Accidental spirits soak the floral fabric splay and call for knit paper towel kneading. Striped stocks are distributed and shared. Whatever size their souls are, they are the same.
Woo! Yeah! Keep it going! Our next poet tonight, everybody please make some noise for Miriam Kramer!
Hey everybody.
Hey.
I like the decorative mic that we got going on.
Nah, it's broken.
Nah, I fought cord last night. I'm not touching
that.
Cord got uppercutted? I missed that?
Yeah. Awesome.
Alright. This is how grief begins, hurting more and sometimes less with each breath. I have never said 10 on the pain scale. The scale has never made sense. There's a constant gnaw in my chest when I breathe, like when my teeth hurt. So I keep biting to make sure the twinge is still there. Only I can't choose to stop breathing. On a scale of 1 to 10, breathing is such a familiar ache, I'm certain it has another name instead of number because I've named every other anguish. I am a 1,000-page book and each loss has a chapter. If you scroll to the appendix, you will find my first love's name written 99 times, alternating with 100 lines of, "It's okay. The doctor didn't hear a heartbeat anyway." My most reread chapter is titled Testimony. It tells of a former friend who lashed out about my lighter burnt left hand and said my scars don't hold stories. I screamed, I am littered with content. I am a wasteland of substance. Excerpts from my index. A, abortion, see tether, page 916. Always prove myself right, see obsession, page 724. Again, 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 see exhaustion, page 102. H, harm, see self-inflicted, page 890. Holes, see backbone, page 15. Home, see dereliction, page 73. M, mortality, see indecision, page 207. P, perception, see monstrous, page 611. W, worth, see minuscule, Page 548. On a scale of 1 to 10, I want to obliterate every page. I want measurable pain. I don't want to name anything ever again. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. 2004 is the spring of cicadas, and I am reckless enough to know I am invincible. I fall in love with someone new every day. Brett's shoulder blades, Kathy's straight teeth, Alex's foolhardy hands. No, my heart is a muscle that gets stronger with each time it's torn open from the pressure of each ounce of fearless wanting, from my misguided impulses and across the basement unmet glances. The cicadas rip apart the ground as they emerge. I feel the beating of their wings in the hollow parts of my chest, a daring vibration between my lungs, echoing the force of my pulse. It is the spring I start closing my eyes while driving, confident in my muscle memory on the dark back roads of Gaithersburg. Tell myself I can drive uncontrolled by vision, unaware I will never again trust myself the way I do now. This is freedom. I whisper to my empty passenger seat, open my eyes and swerve back to my lane. The cicadas are gone by summer. They leave nothing but their exoskeletons, translucent shells of themselves on the hood of my car, the trees in friends' yards, ghosts of May on dormant fire hydrants, unavoidable reminders of their demise. When the air is heavy with humidity, I drive to New York City, visit my friend who works as an escort on OkCupid, before I am afraid of highways, because it is still days until I collide with the Jersey barrier, roll my car on 95 South when my body survives and the rest of me doesn't. My daring and uncertainty left in my overturned Nissan, now a vacant husk of who I was moments before. Days until I find shards of glass in the shower, tucked into my hair, watch as they wash away down the drain. Thank you. I'm just gonna do one. I'm sorry if you heard this already. It's my favorite thing I've written recently. An incomplete list of things I wish I knew growing up in the 90s.
Yeah.
1. My Little Pony will be cool again. She-Ra gets her own show. Everything is cyclical. 2. Your sticker collection might be the source of your anxiety, the way you never place the rarest holograms in any book on any surface. You start buying 2 of each, start biting your nails when you think of peeling them off their wax paper homes. 3. They all end up in the garbage after 5th grade. Enjoy them for their impermanence. 4. Awkward is only cute if you are already cute. You are not already cute with your ear-length hair exposing your antidepressant soft jawline. 5. Don't be yourself. Not your full self, whose laughter is candid camera loud if you hope for invitations to sleepovers. 6. CompuServe chat rooms will be an early tutor for simulated relatedness. At 12, you will masquerade 16. Love through a screen. Forget to give a fake name. 7. At 16, you will not wonder if you are old enough when the man twice your age tells you he likes you, but only for your mouth. 8. Throw away the shorts he rips while you are still wearing them. Don't try to sew the inseam closed. 9. Your sticker collection might not be the source of your anxiety. 10. Don't print out pornography. 11. More people commit suicide due to shame than depression. 12. You never learn to use a sewing machine. You will mend the tears with dorm room rum, sketches of broken skin, signing up for track to validate your urge to run away. 13. You can save a lot of money if you don't buy food. 14. No one will notice how empty you become, how your laughter is reduced to behind your back whispers. 15. People won't always give you a reason. Your best friends from 2nd grade stop talking to you in 5th grade. Closure doesn't come easy. Saying goodbye first makes it hurt a little less. 16. Enjoy people for their impermanence, the limited run series of their lives. 17. Not everything will return to you. Thank you.
We got somebody, our next open micer is somebody I'm very happy to see. First time here, make some noise for my man, Chill Smith! Yeah.
Well, first of all, I'm trying not to cry because of Miriam. I have a little story that I would like to tell you guys. So, back when I was in high school, I was friends with this kid named Nick Schiffer. He was a white kid. He really liked rap music. He found a studio, laid a couple tracks to it, and he will often say things that I didn't like. A couple arguments, but it never really turned to a fight. Until this one time, I had a problem with these dudes. They owned the studio that I went to. I was like 17 at the time, so this is back in 02. We wasn't ever really friends, but to me, we were cool. I later found him on MySpace. Y'all remember MySpace? I think I was like 20. I sent him a message about my songs, but he never responded to me. I noticed he was active on there, but ignored me. So I messaged him again, and he responded. And I ain't like the shit he was saying. I'll be honest. The way that he was talking to me made me violent. And I didn't have his number, but I know my friend Nick did. So I hit Nick up. I was like, let me get their shit. But this motherfucker decided to stand up for them. So I'm like, okay, since you want to ride with your friends, and I don't know what they are, but I know what you is, and since you want to talk tough, you're going to handle these fists. I jumped in the car, went to his crib. He was on the porch. I punched him in his face, punched him in his jaw, popped his little chain. It wasn't even that serious to me. He literally said, I'm white. You know I'm calling the police. But to make a long story short, this little situation didn't go beyond municipal court. So we fell out of course. We stopped talking. Little did I know we had a drug problem. And what happens often when people get out of rehab, they relapse and try to get high the same way they did prior. That's what Nick did, but he didn't survive it. He OD'd right there, right in front of his supplier. I never cried about it, not until I made the song today. It was 2015 when he passed away. And I don't have anything more to say. Thank you.
Keep it going with Joe Smith. All right, our next open micer tonight, everybody please put your hands together for Big Daddy Tom.
Big Daddy!
Big Daddy.
Don't, sorry. Not Becky.
Okay, usually I read on these things, don't write any stupid fucking nicknames.
It wasn't there this
So
time.
who's, I'm gonna circle back, how dare you. All right, please put your hands together for Blush Ellis.
Okay. What's up, everyone? I'm Blush and I'm a poet. I stopped going to therapy recently, but like now I can afford HBO, so I think I won. But I do kind of miss my therapist. We had absolutely nothing in common. We did not agree on anything. I disassociate a lot. I have a very short-term memory, which is why I have to read off my phone. And I told her that I am not in my body half the time. And she was like, what's disassociating? And I was like, oh God. Okay, that's fine.
No way.
Yeah, but I kind of liked her because she was just so different that I can't deal with like another leftist for a therapist. Like, it's just gonna make it worse. And she'll have like insights that maybe I missed because I'm too close to the case. And she's like that random local that's like, the trash doesn't go out on Wednesday, it goes out on Tuesday. And I'm like, how did I miss that? It solves everything. So I kind of think that's Diane. And I need that insight in my life. So this is a poem sort of about what it was like going to therapy with Diane. One day I'm going to forget I'm like this, is the hope I expressed to the therapist, who, after I essentially broke down her office door and did a couple karate high kicks, and then topped it off with a curtsy, now basically has me in a headlock, which is to say, she is simply looking at me, which in my opinion is the same thing. And her asking, how do you feel at Mass? And I answer, nothing. And her asking, how do you feel for people? And I answer, often nothing. And her asking, so what do you feel? What do you think? And my response being, let's breach the gates. Get to the important shit. Do you think the rest of the skeleton craves being as minty fresh as the bones in its mouth? And she's like, you mean teeth? And I'm like, yeah. Stroking the beard I just grew. How can I get in there? Give my skull a little scrub. Polish away all the dust and plaque and contempt built up, calcified over the years. For most, life isn't easy, but I love my skeleton and I want to keep her feeling clean. And she asked, do you think you have depression? And I ask, is there a way to masturbate wrong? Because I think I'm upsetting somebody, even when I'm alone. I can reach for myself in the mirror and plead, don't go towards the fleshlight at the end of the tunnel. But the tunnel always talks back, do it, slither through me like a snake. She tells me this is not appropriate, and I'm like, well, you shouldn't have asked. And while we're on the subject of what's appropriate, she says, how about we talk about your parents? Haven't you found room in your heart to reconcile? It's a commandment to honor your father and your mother, after all. And at this point, I'm in the midst of stealing the entire bowl of hard candy she has set out. Summer peppermints, gotta keep the insides minty. I'm also muttering this to myself as I do this. I'm like sweating. You know, I've thought and thought about it, and I'm like stuffing candy down my bra. You want to get godly? You want to get godly? Fine. That's what held the family together, of course. Without my family, who was going to drag me by my hair, throw me down the stairs, brandish steak knives, the broken stems of wine glasses? One night in Howell, New Jersey, when my mother was a child, her brothers and sisters sat together eating at the dining room table when a young girl came crashing through their front window, screaming that a man was chasing her, trying to abduct her. My mom's hand was cut from some of the glass falling on her, and a small sliver of it got trapped in her palm, where it remained forever. It was still there when my mom would punch me with that hand. I was even younger than the girl in her dining room. I was even younger than my mother was that night. And I sometimes wonder if that girl who was running still carries any glass somewhere on her body. But I don't think so. She's not like us. I stopped going to church because I was addicted to praying. Please, God, strike down my enemies. And I was like 10. And on the advice of my pastor, I finally wrote a letter of reconciliation to them. Dear Dad, dear Mom, die. So maybe one day I'll forget I'm like this. After all, I walked away, I'm here. And I may have a few scars on my body, but as far as I know, there aren't any splinters, transparent, sharp, inside me, cutting from within, which I think the skeleton at least appreciates, and I appreciate her back. Life isn't easy for most. Isn't it crazy how we live on the same planet dinosaurs once lived on? Life wasn't easy for them. And then something came crashing through their front window. It's crazy. Do you think birds know who they once were? Can they feel it? Do they remember all those millions of years ago? Maybe they know some truths deep down, wisdom, but maybe they also know to evolve they must let go. Thank you, God, they may exclaim, but I've got to go be a bird now. Thank you.
Keep it going for blush. All right. tonight had a book come out today.
Oh.
Make some noise for December. Atlas!
So I had 2 poems ready for today. I'm going to read one of them, but I've changed my choice for the second one, being that you all have some really great topics that involve drugs, so that's what the second one's going to involve. But this is Poetry Month, so the first poem is called Why. Because poetry is my pulse, my heart beats to iambic pentameter, and pumps cinquains through my blood, creating Shakespearean monologues. My heart beats to iambic pentameter, emphasizing emotional alliteration, creating Shakespearean monologues, sharing secrets through soliloquy. Emphasizing emotional alliteration, consonants and vowels are betrothed, sharing secrets through soliloquy. They live poetically ever after. Consonants and vowels are betrothed. They live poetically ever after. These are the vows I took whenever watching paper rendezvous with pen.
Yeah.
It makes no sense. It's really cold over there and it's really hot by the door. I don't understand this. So this is called Cocaine Connoisseur. And I'm sure all of you who write can relate when words are so much sexier than flirting. Craving conversation like a cocaine connoisseur, I need a hit. But there are standards, and only one brand will do. Your aesthetic is sedative enough to inject intravenous intimacy into me. So heat up the white noise and pour the parlay into me. I want to get high on your dialect and appreciate every gram of you until what's left are the crumbs of the chemistry we had. I've left too many 80s for 20s in my time, but for you, I'd keep it 100, cutting out all the bullshit and white lies so these rows of white lines can only be filled by our poetry, ready to inhale and intoxicate. So my subject moves with your predicate on waves of dopamine, and it's dope, I mean. Being on this speedball-induced monologue about our love. That's the kind of feeling I fear, because I've never been good with heights, but as I suck the synonyms of this sin I'm in off my teeth, the craving grows. This love is euphoric and I'm for it, because a connoisseur knows it's hard to find that pure-ish, the kind of rock that's got your back when you need it. How I love when my soliloquies turn into you and me wrapped in text, sleeping under a sky full of definitions, knowing our verbal exchange is the only snow I want to taste on my tongue, with all kinds of conversation that leave me numb and addicted. I could spend every day looking for the 8-ball that leads me to you and never feel it's wasted. I've graduated grams and ounce PhD with you as my major, always researching, because loving you is no minor thing, and I'd like to further my career. But I continue craving conversation, feeding into Charlie's hallucinations just to say I had you once before withdrawal.
Yeah.
So when I was in high school, I got accused a lot of not being a virgin because a lot of what I write is more intimate or sexy. And why? Because words are more sexy than flirting. So I'm going to read a sexy poem. Frontal lobe foreplay. Tongue bitten after it's caught between the door and wall, following hips as they switch your focus like lights on and off, with eyes that can see through the fog of dirty thoughts. Oh, you're nasty. Like sweat that crawls down breasts because it's too hot and a midriff seems to be a better place to waste time, like lemon juice that jumps onto lips just to feel the inside of a mouth behave. Ready to stop traffic, the taste of those curves will cause accidents on Route 69 of your mind. There is no recovery. Making you salivate with memories of how often thighs kiss each other. Begin thinking of a marinade to slip between and baste them. So continue sending signals like indigenous people, knowing she doesn't smoke.
Those innuendos can fill lungs. You are closer to being inside of her, pumping in one way or another. Breathing you in, it's harder to get past penetration. Watch the way eyes cross, trying to trace her outline, and you outline the points you'd like to emphasize during the oral presentation. Just before she comes back with rebuttal, leaving the door open for more commentary and an opportunity to rest your tongue for a while.
Yeah!
So like, shameless plug, because Damian said I could. The book is out and I do have a few copies if you are interested.
Hell yeah. Awesome. You go for the Summer Island, Fireball. Our next reminder tonight is a fucking fireball. Make some noise for my man, M.I.
I can tell you what it's like to be a nobody, to barely have friends or get invited to parties, to be bullied in school and considered lame, to sit in your room all day and watch the loneliness convert into pain. I can tell you what it's like to think you'll be single forever, to never be hit up by anyone at any time ever. But let me tell you a story of glory. See, I was going through hard times. I was a miner searching for gold in a dark mine, and this dark mine was hoping to see some light. Not too many people reached out during my most cold and lonely nights. And that's not fair. That's not right. Too bad, homie. That's called life. In times when feeling fine is the same as feeling frustrated or upset, it's best to pursue every positive opportunity you get. And for me, that opportunity came in the form of one of the most skilled and elegant teachers. He taught me how to move people with my mind like telekinesis. I became M.I., the artist, and now it's the fire. And science says flames rise, so I only went higher. See, the fire brought me a community filled with like-minded people who remind me that not all this world is filled with ignorance and evil. And let me tell you after the fact, I'd rather take part in a dead poet society than be a dead poet in society. These lyrics are too hard to be kept inside of me. I mean, come on, man. That would be a mission fail. I'm deeper than Batman, voiced by Christian Bale. And as you can see, when I speak the fire, I'm confident and all cool, spitting out bars like printers at law school. Don't stare into these pyro eye holes. I ain't met one well-sighted sunglancer. I'm so ill, I give cigarettes lung cancer. And look, I said it once and I say it again. When I'm up to speak, I don't hesitate. I don't just move the crowd. I make them levitate.
Hell yeah.
I blow the room away and walk off. Pick up the crowd's ashes, do a LeBron James chalk toss. I socked Father Time in the face and yanked the pen out of his hand. I rewrote the narrative. Now I'm the man. I was engulfed in shadow, but I was overcome by a bold force. I found my way out of the darkness by becoming my own torch. I hope y'all take the same route. That's how I found my way out. The fire.
All right. Yeah.
What's up, bro? I'm like in the middle of my sit right now. What's going on, man? Oh no, you good, you good. I was just saying. Oh, so this is weird. So, I actually, as of today, I'm 21 now. So I don't drink though, so like, don't get that excited. Like, this is gonna be a very boring 21. Actually, I shouldn't say that. My family's in the back. They've been very good to me today. But yeah, I'm 21. I'm good and older. Things are This is my first tour of the 20s, and I gotta say, it's just getting weird, man. Shit is getting weird. Everyone older than me has told me, oh, wait until you're 30. I got no idea what the hell I want to do for my second poem. Cord, what the hell should I do?
Whatever you feel, man.
That doesn't help.
It's a poem.
All right, Damian, what should I do?
I'm the wrong person to ask.
God damn it!
You just did the one I like.
I gotta get a new. Wait, what?
The one you were doing, that's the one I like.
Which one?
Did it, though.
Yeah, the one he just did.
I like that.
Encore.
Alright, you know what? I'll just do the one where I complain about worldly issues, since that's like, you know, it's a poet thing, right? I want the news to stop being so sensationalized so they could just tell the goddamn truth. I want those mumble rappers who stole hip-hop to give Biggie back his loot. I want government officials to swallow their pride and admit when they messed up. I want kids who vandalize and litter to apologize to janitors and clean their own mess up. I want respect to be as valuable as the most luxurious diamond or pearl. I want people to stop complaining on the internet and actually change this world. I want politicians to stop debating policy and actually help poor people thrive more. I want Jesus Christ to appear between two armies and yell, "This isn't what I died for." I want guardian angels to intervene in substance abuse to say, "Stop it, it took me, but I won't let it take you too." I want every addict in the world to enter rehab and make it through. I want Valentine's Day to be every day, for every day we should love one another. I want people to stop believing in cults and instead believe in each other. I want people to stray away from being the same and be applauded for their difference. I want children to follow their dreams instead of being led by ignorance. I want kids to cherish knowledge and love going to school. I want them to think that hatred is lame and equality is cool. I want them to challenge ideas and not be afraid to go against the grain. I want them to understand each other's pain, so maybe then they wouldn't abuse or call someone insane. Unfortunately, the world is not this way. This is not the world we have, but the world we have is the world we can shape. And together, with love, strength, and determination, this is the world we can make.
Yeah.
Alright, that's it. I'm getting the hell out of here. So, if any of you, since I see a lot of new faces in here, if you don't have me on social media, my Instagram handle is @meaningsinfinite. That's all one word, meaningsinfinite. Thank you very much, everybody. Shout out to Damian for the show.
Here we go for live. All right, our next couple writers tonight. Everybody, please put your hands together for Becky, Tara, Nova.
So I got my wisdom tooth pulled out yesterday, and so if I like can't
How are you not in pain?
I am in a lot of pain. I sucked it up for Damian.
How dare you, man?
I mean, the only really like bad part is that I can't suck dick. Like, I can't even get the tip in at all. Like when the dentist was like, "Are you gonna be okay?" In my head, I was like, "Will this be numb enough to like suck a dick later?" Of course, you can't say that. So, I hate myself too. It's nice that your parents come. I'm happy that mine really don't.
Like when I brought my parents, the first guy like immediately is talking about like acid, which was, I thought that was fucking hilarious.
Another guy on acid.
Like, I could Anyways, this poem is actually called Adam's Demise. I was sexually assaulted in my church when I was like 16, 17. So I wrote this, and it's very special to me. And if anybody can relate, I'm really sorry. So, cover your thighs or you'll stumble him. Never let your midriff show. You want to protect your brother's eyes. Keep him from lustful thoughts of you. Help him resist his impure desires. Never show too much, little sister. It is your job to shield him, lest he give in to his salacious thoughts. Because if he falls, we will blame you, like we did. It will be your responsibility for his lack of self-control. You are the one who tempted his eyes with your uncovered, vile body. Because after all, it was Eve who caused Adam's demise. Thank you. This one I'm dedicating to Eli. I shared it to him the other night. I was really angry and I was in the gym and I was kind of lifting and I wrote this. It's called Temporary. It's not fully finished, but I'm gonna read it anyways. So yeah, Temporary. I'm done with chasing temporary pleasure, tired of fleeting feelings. Sick of those too, but not in a pessimistic way where it sounds like I'm asking for your pity. No, I'm sick of using makeshift satisfactions to fill voids that I have been running from for years. I am over it. Disgusted with myself when I look in the mirror, staring at someone I don't even know. I'm exhausted from listening to lies that run through my brain telling me otherwise. I've got no time to sit back and let this gift of life pass me by. I have no more energy to give to the fabrication of who I really am. Whether it's sex, porn, boys, or self-mutilation to myself, I want more. I want more than short-lived memories that will only cause me pain in the long run. Speaking of running, I am crippled from constant on-the-go comfort deriving from those who don't even know me. I am depleted from the debilitating charade I carry every day that I am okay, but I'm not. Weakened by the thoughts that if I go on this way, I'll be able to survive, but I won't. I'm over backing down to greatness because I am burnt out from fending for myself. I can't keep going on like this or I won't make it out alive. I can't keep thinking if I gamble with the devil, I will be fulfilled. Can't keep feeding the delusion that I can avoid the skeletons locked in my closet that I have put there. My demons are hanging over my shoulder, getting heavier because I keep feeding them. One time turns to two, turns to me being locked behind a cell I keep creating for myself. I'm craving more than just a momentary rush. I want a flood. I need a breakthrough, please, God. Be my breakthrough, because I cannot keep going on, because I've spent this year in a marathon that I will never win. If you are who you say you are, help me break these inconsistent times we spend together. Give me a purpose and a life worth living, because I do not know how I am supposed to keep going on this way. I am repulsed by myself and who I claim to be, yet behind closed doors, I am an imposter chasing shadows. You say if I'm lukewarm, you will spit me out, and I am petrified that one day you'll kick me out of your heart forever. So resurrect me and give me that fire again, because I know all it takes is a small spark to create a flame. Give me that oxygen, and I will use it to become the phoenix I was created to be. I can't make any promises because you know me better than that. We both know me better than that, and that's the worst part about me. I know you're lurking behind me with every mistake I make, but I'm tired of running in circles and wondering why I'm sick.
Yeah.
What?
I should have done a third one.
Do you want to go up after me?
If you really want.
I do. I think we all would love it. This one is my favorite. It's called erectile dysfunction.
Yeah.
Sam isn't here, but it's almost like whenever he's not here, I read this. And whenever he's here, he's like, "When you read it?" I think everybody can relate to this one. It's probably my favorite. I have erectile dysfunction, and know before you ask, I do not have a penis. That is 2022. I have ED in many ways, I'm sure you all do. I cannot enjoy anything in the moment. My mind is always in overdrive. I could be kissing the sexiest man on earth, and in my head I'm thinking, should I ask him if the weather looks nice today? Instant mood killer. Instead of focusing on his lips or his hands, I'm thinking in my head, am I doing this right? Am I good enough? Focus, Becky, focus. We have practiced how you would react at least 500 times this week. All the way to the point of a softie, and no, not for him, for me. My therapist tells me to enjoy the ride because according to her, I deserve at least one good orgasm after the year I've had. I was taught in dialectical behavioral therapy that living in the moment is called mindfulness, but the only thing I'm ever mindful of all the moans I've ever faked, or whether or not thinking this person enjoys kissing me, even though they are clearly doing it back to me. Failed orgasms are something I can relate to, and no, not only in a sexual way. Whether it's studying hard for a test, finishing, thinking, wow, I nailed that, only to find out I got a 64, a point beneath passing, complete mood killer, and a buzzkill. Most things in my life feel like I'm about to plateau, and then all of a sudden nothing. It's like a man looking for the click, but completely moving when I tell him, yo babe, stay there, don't move. Only for him to go completely south. Either I'm too fast at reacting or too slow, so maybe what I truly have are blue balls, but instead of him going soft, I'm cock blocking myself. Thanks.
Our next overwriter tonight Miker will be guest hosting the next potion in the port here while I'm on tour, Saturday the 16th. Make some noise for my man, Don fucking
With sunglasses.
I don't have the sunglasses.
I have a pair.
It works. It just ducked here.
Is it working? Is it on? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Very good. All right.
I can turn it up.
I haven't heard about it. It's just more for dramatic effect at this point. You'll never find another love like mine. Someone who'll cherish you the way that I do. Okay. Man, I wish that was true. If I was, maybe I wouldn't be up here writing this poem about you. It's so painful, it's like pulling at stitches, but every so often you gotta purge your room of these dirty dishes. From the day that I met you, I knew you fed off that sexual energy, and I just didn't realize how much you was draining me. As deep as the ocean, as calm as the sea, I wanted to figure out all of your idiosyncrasies. As much as you portrayed happiness and glee, the truth was your aura exuded that sensuality. But when they say good things always come with a fee, you were kind of the lesson that confirmed that hyperbole. As long as things were good, you were so carefree, and if we'd ever disagree, who knew what the consequences would be? Back then, you would stroke my goatee, we'd sip some Hennessy, roll a little tree, hit that key, and knew it was going to be a good night. Ooh-wee. But then you started growing that shade tree, the sky started getting cloudy. You started acting snotty and bratty, not allowing me to be free. Had to remove you as a trustee, and we both started to sightsee. And then that disrespect came heavy. And when it became clear to me, as clear as a 3D sign on a marquee, I finally had to let go of that control key, and when I could see, I was no longer a detainee, and you were no longer a devotee. As life goes on, you gotta keep spitting these rhymes like Hilla B and get my pockets as fat as a manatee, but it would absolutely bring me jubilee to see your name come across that caller ID. But all I can really do is hope that you come to reality. Because you're seeing things like you're on LSD, you can't see that your partner in crime is an absentee, so stop sniffing up that potpourri and awaken to the rot of this wannabe. You surprised that I haven't described her as crazy? I can't, because that would kind of sort of apply to me. Just because a little bit longer you'd have had me on bended knee, but the universe helps me always to see that things are going good. Found nothing but bliss. Started and ended everything with all types of French kiss, but since something clearly went amiss, probably a good thing you disappeared into the mist. As if your partner in crime decided to shoot another disc, only God would be able to save him from my fist. So now that I reminisce and my thoughts go into the abyss and I try to move you out my mind like telekinesis, but say this much, thank you for the list on how to survive a tryst with a succubus. But I'll start, and I'll risk sounding like a narcissist when I say this, but I know for sure that you're gonna miss my love. Thank you.
Yeah.
Keep it going for Don for time. Got one last open micer.
No. Jump on. Yeah, I'll do one.
Do it. Fuck it. Make some noise for Court for us.
Alright, I got peer pressure. Alright. So this is like, I'm gonna read some new shit, but this one, it's gonna be in a project I'm working on probably in the fall. It came out through, between Child's Press, it was in that collaboration. It's called Teenage Wasteland. 18 is just a few hours away. And with that, you'll leave with only a high school education, a duffel bag full of clothes, a Greyhound schedule you've memorized for months, and pay, saved from washing dishes and scrubbing away at shit stains and toilet bowls. Your mother will be too busy snorting Oxy on the dinner table to notice. Your stepfather, too hungover to challenge your manliness to another fist fight. You raise the volume on your radio and hum along to the music playing, but not too loud, while you glance over your shoulder, then back out your bedroom window into the quiet, inviting night.
Yeah!
This one's about when I was a kid, I lost my house. It's called Junk Mail, and Junk Mail reminds me of that. Even now you tell me that whenever you see it all scrunched inside your mailbox, the glossy advertisements for credit cards and personal loans, or the coupons for fast food chains and life insurance policies, it gives you this strange sigh of relief, as if you were 9 years old again. That year you held your breath whenever the postman arrived. Your father always passed out on the couch from work in the graveyard shift at Quit Check, while your mother fanned out the envelopes like a poker hand to see if it was franken beans or spaghetti with ketchup for the 4th night in a row, or if the batch of cookies baking in the oven were for you or for the lender as a sign of mercy before they eventually took your house. It all taught you the difference between the victory of a battle and the victory of a war before any outdated school textbook could, or any grandfather wore the Purple Heart. And on those days of just junk, you'd watch from the kitchen as your mother toasted with a sigh while you tended the oven for her, making sure the cookies didn't burn.
Yeah.
All right, this is kind of the aftermath of that poem. This came out yesterday through Mad Swirl. It's called Won't You Be My Neighbor. They resented us when we rented on their block, scoffed at my parents' occupations, made fun of our outdated cars, felt charitable after they purged old clothes from their closets that eventually became ours. Now I see their kids all grown up like me, at bars or on social media, working the same tired jobs, driving the same model cars, feeling the same familiar pain. But I know that if they ever asked for my help, I'd still give them their shirt off my back.
Yeah! Our last open biker tonight has been taking care of us all night. Make some fucking noise for my man, Brandon Castro!
Thank you for coming out. This is even more.
Yeah.
You said it, but like it sounds very low.
Yeah.
Use your imagination.
I'm not gonna use it. I thought dramatic effect, but
there you go.
I still don't really have a name for this piece, so it's funny how money can make everything better, whether it's sunny or shitty, whatever the weather. So give me some bills to pay the bills all together, because I'll get a spring in my step and rush to fall out November. See, we all can remember back to a time when a dime meant jack shit. You'd need to have it to be fine. But I'm here to remind that we cannot rewind time. But still, I've got a boardwalk empire state of mind. This is a situation. I have a chance here. You're probably wondering who I am. Well, the answer is a bad dancer who questions the man we're creating bombs, but we can't cure cancer. Damn. We'd rather blow shit into pieces and argue about Jesus instead of following his peace. It's fucked up. Like when the lady's on top. I've always been a little crazy, they said, but maybe I'm not. See, maybe I got dropped on my head as a baby. Thank you. This one is called Ain't Doing Right. A common thought for us is only losers break the law a lot. We all doing something wrong. It's just if we get caught or not. So if there ain't no evidence of anything you ever did, and you stay on the right track, then you can be the president. See, you enjoy just the occasional joint. Never got into it like that. It's okay to a point. But if one day the cops walk in with smoking J's with all your boys, well, now you fucked up in making your choice. See, it's such a fine line from limelight to living in the crime life. Working just a 9-5 or living in the limelight. The leaders of the nation, passing blunts in rotation. but it's incarceration for any kid in his basement? Fuck that. And every single hypocritic parent saying drugs are bad just before they lit a cig and inhale it. Don't you ever do drugs, Johnny. I'll fucking kill you. Now take your Adderall and Lexapro pills too. And then this is my last one. It's called The One Who Can't Be Lied to.
Yeah.
I'm calling you out. I know what you all is about. How you're really feeling, thinking when you're pausing your mouth. See, I know how it is. Always trying to be the nice guy. Mr. Brightside. Yet with them, you know, it might slide. But not with me. I'm the one who can't be lied to. The one who knows everything. The one who's deep inside you. I can hear your thoughts like you're screaming them out. How you feeling about everyone you meet when you're out. You played it nice the other day, but I can see you hated them. Completely frustrated when you spoke. Why'd you fake it then? Why'd you hold it in if you really couldn't take it then? Why'd you feel the need to fucking fake it just to make a friend? Don't hold it in. Come on, bitch, release it. Think about your feelings. Think of words. Fucking speak it. Fuck a secret. No one cares about it anyway, because they don't need you either. So just say it, and they'll stay away. You sick of it yet? That twitch in your chest? Because every time you bit your lip, the thicker it gets? Ain't you tired of being friendly? They ain't friendly at all. You friended them? Did they even friend you at all? Wouldn't you love to bitch them out? Well, this is your chance. Go ahead, do it before you switch your mind up again. You're starting to hate me. Hate me, that's okay. At least have the balls to just face me. But don't worry, I'll always be here to remind you. The one who's deep inside you. The one who can't be lied to. That one is very personal. I went through a phase in my life where I just wasn't me, and I realized that it just wasn't serving my life, me, or anything, being around the wrong people because I thought I was happy. So it's very personal, and I get a little emotional when I do that one. So thank you.
All right.
Thank you for throwing together. It's a great event. Thank you all for coming out. I'm glad so many were able to come out and support each other. So this is great. Thanks again.
Hell yeah.
All right, guys, here we go. We're here tonight. We are the Wonders. It's a brand new room. Monday. Okay, Monday will be at Barnes off Broadway at Nip and Tuck in Long Branch. Tuesday, Puff Puff Poems. The next Poetry Report will be the 16th, hosted by Don Krypton. This is the New jersey Poetry Renaissance. Awesome. Alright, and as always, somebody bought me a fucking cigarette. Thank you guys for the play.